Hey everybody, Jay Super Awesome here. I'd like to welcome you all to week number 41 of the SlashBack SlashBack Saturday Challenge. This week's slasher movie theme is science, and I will be doing my review for Frankenstein Reborn. Okay, so getting into the plot for this one. In this horrifying modern retelling of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, a neurosurgeon obsessed with the reanimation of dead flesh murders his patient and resurrects the corpse. Instead of life, he creates pure evil as the creature carves a path of flesh and gore through the heart of the city, born from the flesh of corpses and the mind of a maniac. Okay, so getting into my thoughts for this one. It's a wondrous thing, science. It can rob you of your humanity. With this week's slasher movie theme of science, I chose to review Frankenstein Reborn because it's a modern slasher-style take on the classic story, and it perfectly blends science and slasher movie elements. In this modern take of the classic Frankenstein story, Dr. Franks, of course Frankenstein for short, is under a psychiatric evaluation by the local authorities because they are trying to solve the case of the murders that have been popping up around the city. So basically the story plays out through a series of flashbacks through Dr. Frank's perspective, and I thought it worked perfectly the way this story was set up. Now there is some other things that are taking place during current time, and the story does eventually catch up to current time, and it finishes up pretty nicely in my opinion. So I really love this modern take on the classic monster. I really enjoyed the science element of this movie. Of course, Dr. Frank wants to reanimate dead tissue. He does this through a nanotechnology, which is basically an injection he gives to his patient. This serum is supposed to go in and heal dead cells so wounded body parts can start to function again. Of course, this process has a side effect because Dr. Franks had been testing the serum on himself. So his patient ends up having really twisted nightmares and seeing really gruesome visions. And this is all because of Dr. Frank had originally tested on himself. Of course, this begins to drive the patient crazy, and he turns on Dr. Frank. But this is only the beginning of what the monster would end up becoming. I thought Frankenstein Reborn was a fun and entertaining slasher movie that had a lot of winks and nods to some classic Frankenstein films. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the cast of characters we have in Frankenstein Reborn. I thought we had a really good cast of characters within this movie. Of course, Dr. Franks is the main character of the storyline. He has a small group of scientists and helpers that assist him. The most important one of this group is his love interest, Elizabeth. We also have the local authorities who are trying to solve the murders that have been plaguing the city. And we have a couple of different psychiatric evaluators who have been talking with Dr. Franks. And of course we have some throwaway characters within the story, which are basically victims, of course. And I really love that they added a section within this movie where a babysitter is babysitting a little girl who ends up befriending the Frankenstein monster. And I thought that was really cool because it was a really good throwback to the original movie. So I thought it was awesome that they added that. I thought all the acting was solid, and I really enjoyed the characters within this movie. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the most important part of a slasher movie, that is the killer and the kills. Of course, I should probably consider Dr. Franks the main villain of this story. In this version of the character, he's a lot more sleazy, and he seems to be in it more for the money. He has some independent investors that are counting on him to complete his work. So he definitely has money on the mind. But he is laser focused on his work, and anybody that gets in his way or becomes an obstacle in him achieving his ultimate goal proves to be expendable. Of course, I have to talk about the Frankenstein monster himself. I felt like this is something they really had to hit big on for this movie to work. And I have to say, this is one of my all-time favorite looks and designs for the Frankenstein monster character. Absolutely fantastic, and I thought they nailed it. I wanted to briefly talk about the man before he would become the monster. He was just your average guy who was involved in a motorcycle accident and was declining in health. He wasn't going to get any better and felt like he had no future ahead of him. So he desperately sought out the help of Dr. Franks and his medical staff, hoping that he could regain his strength and return to his normal life. Of course, we know that's not the case, and I absolutely love the monster that he would end up becoming. And of course, he had no future with this version of himself either. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the kills we have in Frankenstein Reborn. So we are treated with some absolutely brutal kills within this movie. I thought the movie had a pretty high body count, lots of blood and gore throughout its runtime. The movie opens up with a girl who gets her legs ripped from her body. It's absolutely brutal, gory, and violent, and it really sets the tone of what you can expect throughout the movie. The biggest complaint I have with this movie is a lot of times within this kill sequence, there will be a flash. So it's almost like a picture is being taken. Sometimes the screen will go to black and white, but it is a slight pause within the sequence. And I found that to be really annoying, and I don't understand why they decided to go with that kind of a technique. It's a breakup in the action, and it really is distracting, and I didn't like it. But overall, I really do enjoy this movie. This one was put out by the Asylum, and I really enjoy Asylum's slasher movies. I feel like they should stick with that over the other sci-fi type stuff that they do. And I believe I have seen they are starting to release slasher movies again, so that's really cool if they are. But overall, I really enjoy this movie. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Please like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if you have seen Frankenstein Reborn, or just let me know what you think about my video. And I would like to thank you all for watching.